There's a new street fighter on your windowsill. The weapon is peace, the word is chill.
Hello there, gang, and welcome to another episode of Displaying Model Behaviour, the world's mightiest action figure podcast. Video podcast. I'm not doing that again. It's part 2 of our most underrated hidden gems of the Marvel Legends line. So without further ado, and before I flub any more lines, although I haven't written any lines, I'm just ad-libbing this, so if you don't plan anything, then nothing can go wrong. That was how I did my wrestling career, and it worked out alright for me. So without further ado, take off your pants, crack a beer, and get ready for the next installment of the 50 greatest underratedest. Oh, I'm a poet and I didn't even realise. The greatest underratedest. Oh yeah, that wasn't a word, underrated. Wow, we're off to a good start. Let's do it. Let's kick things off with Ends of the Earth Spider-Man. I know what you're thinking, Dave, that's not Ends of the Earth Spider-Man, that's Mark IV Armor Spider-Man from the PS4 game. Duh! Yeah, right, that's what you think it is, but the real OGs know the truth. Actually, everyone does, I'm just trying to seem clever. No, we all know that this is the Ends of the Earth Spider-Man suit from the story of the same name. It was a really cool story where Dr. Octopus was dying and he basically wanted one last hurrah, like one last jolly before he went out. So he rounded up the Sinister Six and they had a badass caper, and this was the armor that Spider-Man constructed for himself to deal with the bad guys. And why is it underrated? Because look at how much work and sculpting has gone into what is a one-off figure. It's really surprising. This figure doesn't warrant the amount of work that has gone into it. Every single individual piece of armor seems to have been sculpted and carved. Like, doesn't look like there's any reuse. That's such a bizarre thing, I couldn't even say it. I tried to say it doesn't look like there's any reuse, I just said because my tongue couldn't articulate the fact that Hasbro didn't reuse anything on a figure that's a total throwaway figure. How does that work? I mean, I'm not mad, I'm just surprised. Because tell me if I'm wrong, but all the little armor pieces, the helmet, the shoulder pads, the gauntlets, the wrist guards, it's all unique to this figure. And what is almost actually kind of drives me up the wall then, is they then cut corners by just giving him one whipping hand and one punching hand. And that's the worst combination. That doesn't satisfy anyone. Because if I want two punching hands, like, get up your dukes, mister. Or I want like two wall crawling hands. So he's like, oh, you know, but a web and a fist, like, what are you doing? That's not good. But that notwithstanding, this figure himself, absolutely fantastic. Going over to the X-Men side now, we have the Silver Samurai. Is he underrated? Maybe, only because people don't talk about him enough. But I might have even put him in my top 50 Legends list, so he's not underrated in my eyes, but I feel he doesn't get the recognition he deserves because once again, talking about creative, original sculpting, look at what is going on with this dude. They have recreated samurai armor so perfectly. Alright, I must have used him in a list recently because I'm repeating myself. I got the weirdest feeling of deja vu there. It's like, nah, Dave, you've said this about Silver Samurai before. Well, the only way we can be certain is for you to go back and watch all my videos again, including the ads, alright? Papa needs a new box of, I don't know, shoes? Yeah, you buy shoes in boxes. I'm really rambling today. Great figure, love it. I won't wax lyrical for too long because you've heard it all before. All the little details, the armor plates, the rivets everywhere, the little string that ties it together. Absolutely beautiful. Only the second figure in, and I'm going to use it. I've got one, and I'm using it now. Mwah! Chef's kiss. Now a figure that actually got quite some hate when I was doing my worst Marvel Legends figures, and it is Pumpkin Jack-o'-lantern. Pumpkin Man? I'm very tired today, but I'm in a good mood, so I'm enjoying this. I hope you are, because it's a little bit bonkers. Jack-o'-lantern, no one talks about this figure. I rarely ever see him for sale, but I rarely ever see anyone asking for him either. Very often you'll see in search of posts on Facebook. No one's ever in search of this guy, and you know what? If you haven't got him, you should be. Because he has a giant flaming pumpkin for a head. What more do you need, folks? Come on, work with me here. I'm trying to improve your collections, all right? Not only that, but he's got the flaming broomstick as well. It's translucent orange. You hold it up to the light, it shines through like manna from heaven. That is then supplemented with his big badass sickle that he'll just lop fools' heads off with. And this is a gnarly character. So many people have been Jack-o'-lantern over the years. Like, he's had so many heads in him that, like, you lose track. Sounds a bit rude. But this particular version is a real grade A card carrying psychopath. Under the mask, his face looks like a jack-o'-lantern. He's missing his nose and he's missing like some of his lip, I think, and like his teeth. He looks really grim and gross. And of course, being like any great jack-o'-lantern themed serial killer, he will chop people's heads off and turn them into jack-o'-lanterns. So badass, was a big time menace for Flash Thompson, Venom. Great storytelling, great times, and great Marvel legend. Let's go over to someone far more heroic now. It is the Vision. Paul Bettany. Well, this isn't Paul Bettany. This is the 616 version, which everyone seems to want. In order to get this guy, I had to buy the entire Retro Wave 2 from Big Bad Toy Store over in the States and get it shipped over. And you know what? I would do it again, because that entire wave is fantastic. The main figure I wanted from there was the Scarlet Spider with the blonde Ben Reilly head. But then I get this dude as well. And I'm like, oh my goodness, you are beautiful. He comes with an Ultron head as well, which is really good fun. But besides that, you've just got this metallic green paint job. I'm thinking now, I could take that Ultron head out of my fodder box, and if I reordered the Maestro figure since I cancelled him, I could use that as one of his trophies. That would look cool. I might have to reorder the Maestro. We'll see. But yeah, he's got his beautiful flowing cape, which is the plastic is softer than your normal plastic, which is an improvement. But really, I love his face sculpt. His face sculpt is like, it's a human face, but the way it's painted, like, it feels more angular. It feels slightly more robotic, with a great robotic kind of androids determined, kind of not soulless, but just straight-laced kind of stare. Works really great for the Vision. I dig this figure. Now let's go for a really recent one. We have Frogman, and I'm saying it now. Those of you who used to watch this show way back in the day when I was doing the Legends Legacy reviews, this guy is in my boy stable. 100%. OSW fans, you know what I'm talking about. Someone who is completely rubbish, but also brilliant, and you absolutely have to adopt him as a boy and have him in your boy stable. This guy is just wonderful. He's a chunky, rotund dude who dresses up as a frog with little springs on his feet. How adorable is that? Also, just the fact that because he has flipper feet, so easy to stand. That in itself is an underrated quality of this underrated figure. Love that. Then with the big backpack as well, which fits nicely over the holes from the Doc Ock body. Because let's face it, no one wants holes in their action figures, folks. Then we have the fantastically, I'm using that word a lot, I gotta go to Thesaurus. We have the marvelously sculpted, cartoony, ridiculous, bonkers frog Halloween hat, basically, with the eyes, the little eyes painted inside the mouth. Oh, so great. Then with more detailing on the actual figure itself, the little frog, I don't know what they are, like little markings, I suppose. So much love for this guy. He pops off the shelf. I was going to say he ribbits off the shelf, but that was a pop. He ribbits off the shelf and into all our hearts. Let's go from kind of a homemade costume to about as technologically advanced as you can get. It is this version of Tony Stark's Iron Man armor. Don't hate on me, and please do tell me in the comments, because I'm getting confused already. This is the most up-to-date modern version of Iron Man that we have, am I right? Of comic book Iron Man. It's not Extremis armor, it's like Invincible. Invincible Iron Man. That's the one, yeah? Stop me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure it's like Mark something or other. You know, Mark XXV, whatever. Nerds. Hang on, I just kicked the camera. So yeah, we're back. Why is this figure fun? Because he's got the great like tessellating armor plates which look really nice. I don't have any MCU Iron Man figures, so I can't compare like for like or show how they differ, but I love the little blue details, the grey and silver underneath. It's a cool looking armor. I really want to get a proper version of this figure, because this was like a little freebie that I got in a bundle, because his ankle is glued, he doesn't have any of his accessories, because this also comes with an unmasked Tony Stark head, and that head looks really cool. It's like a modern Tony Stark. So even just the most basic bare bones version of this figure I think is really cool. Oh, now a figure of a character who was completely wasted is Dr. Octopus, or Superior Dr. Octopus. The Elliot Tolliver version of Otto Octavius. Long story short, this is a cloned body that the brain of Otto Octavius is in, and he became the Superior Octopus. And Hasbro just, as I said for a couple of figures on the last list, they didn't have to go as ham on this figure as they did, but they did, and we got an amazing figure out of it. I don't even know what body mold it's on, because it feels really unique. This isn't Sunfire, I don't think, because he's got like an upper torso swivel, which is kind of unusual. I just love everything that they've done with him. The gauntlets look fantastic. The sculpting on his Octopus / Spider-Man inspired mask look great. Every time I look at him, I notice new things, like his little shoulder pad detailing there, and just the luminous green on top of the black and grey. It reminds me a bit of Big Time Badass Spider-Man as well, which is a great kind of compliment with the two of them next to each other. But yeah, Superior Octopus, of course. What would we say to improve it? Bendy wire tentacles that are a bit more substantiative. I wouldn't win on Scrabble with that word. I have no idea how it's spelt or pronounced. But substantiative. F it. It's a great figure. Let's move on. Now one that is kind of... is it a grail? It's not a grail. You can find it on eBay for not crazy money, but still rather sought after is classic Taskmaster. Tasky, who we're going to be seeing in the Black Widow movie this week. Finally, after over a year. I remember working on the Disney cruise ship at the start of 2020, and all the posters were up. Black Widow coming out May 5th, I think it was. Everyone was excited talking about Black Widow movie. Oh, it's going to be great. We're going to show it in the cinema on the cruise ship. That'll be so much fun. How little we did know. But we're here now. I'm going to go see it with my buddy Brad on Friday, and we're going to see what they've done with the character of Taskmaster. And this is a basic buck. I think it's just the Bucky Cap buck. But they've then added so much more to it with the big Captain America type boots, the shield, the cape. But what really sets this figure off is the great Taskmaster grinning skull. I love the skull face type mask because you can draw it and animate it so many different ways. Some people make it look kind of sinister, some other people make it look kind of goofy. They go so many different directions. But what I love about Taskmaster is like he is one of the most deadly, dangerous assassins in the world. But he's not evil. He's a dick, but he's not evil. He's just a mercenary. So he's not out there looking to torture people or take over the world or anything. He just wants a steady paycheck. To be honest, that's why when the initiative occurred and they set up the Avengers initiative, he was running one of the training camps because he was like, nah, just they're paying me. This is what I'm gonna do, which is great because it makes him a completely black-hearted kind of person as well, where he's like, sorry guys, but he's paying me more. So I love Taskmaster and I love the way he's represented in this great figure. Now then, what kind of a list would this be without a Wolverine? Actually, the first of two Wolverines. And I know, like, really, does Wolverine need a shout out? It's Wolverine. We all have 10,000 Wolverines. Wolverines. But this one in particular, because he came in the 3-pack, in the triple pack, I feel like people kind of brushed over him because they really only bought it for Jean Grey. If I was doing these videos when that pack was announced, I would have been online giving out like, what are the... Hasbro, everyone wants Jean Grey, you're going to make us buy 2 figures that we don't want just to get her? Blah! But instead, that was a rare instance where I was one of the lucky people where I didn't have any of those guys. So I was happy to get that. I was like, wait, I get Jean Grey, Wolverine, and Cyclops? Score. And most of all, we get 90s Wolverine. And I just love the 90s look with the bone claws. Stop me if I'm wrong, but this is the first time we've seen bone claws from Hasbro. And they look great. And one of the reasons, kind of like what I was saying with Taskmaster, how people do the skull differently, I really enjoyed the bone claw era. He's cooler with adamantium, but I enjoyed the Bone Claw era because of how varied the the artist's interpretation of the claws would be. Sometimes they just look like bone-colored versions of his blades. Other times they look like big, knobbly, chunky breadsticks. It was so random to see how people depicted them. But this three-dimensional version of the bone claws looks so good. This is exactly what they should look like. Throw on the torn, ripped-up mask as well. This is a great, great version of Wolverine. Now one that you really might not have expected is Paladin. No one talks about Paladin, nor should you. Why would you? But now could you? Talk about this purple and black mercenary who brings more to the table than you kind of would have expected. It's the fact that I think he's got the two guns and the removable knife. The removable knife just sets it off so nicely. And God bless the guy who I bought this from. I bought him secondhand. And I got him and I was like, oh, I really like this figure. He's better than I thought. And then he messaged me, the guy, and he said, oh, I forgot the bandolier, the holster. I'm going to send that to you. So then when I got that as well, slid it on, I was like, oh, haha. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. For such a character that I haven't even read any appearances, I don't think. But I know who he is. He's part of Silver Sable's Wild Pack, and in the early 90s there were lots of team-ups. But I just really love his face sculpt, where he just looks like a mercenary who's got a job to do. He's like, I'm not really enjoying this, quite frankly. I need to meet my next appointment, but first I'm going to shoot a bunch of guys. And that's what it looks like. And I love the way that I've positioned him half drawing his pistol, so it looks like a real action kind of pose. Then you've got just all of the nicely sculpted armor on there as well. Plus purple and black is an awesome combination. It's one of my favorite looks. This guy, little underrated gem. Hey, that's the name of the video. Now it is time to go back into the paddock and frolic around in the boys' stable with Toxin. And this, of all the figures, this might be the biggest push where it's like, Dave, is that an underrated figure? Or is it just one that you personally really like? And some from column A, some from column B. Look, hear me out here. It's kind of crap, but just look at the face. The face has it. I know he looks like a hamster teeth, but look beyond that. Look at the actual carving and sculpting of this face with all of the ridges and the skull-like lumps and bumps and rivets. It looks horrifying, which is so cool. Horrifying is cool. And this guy has that. If you really take a deep look at the figure, you will pick out little nuances that you perhaps don't appreciate, because he just, at a glance, he's just a red blob. I would not look down on you for thinking that. But then if you actually take the time to look a little closer, I love the way the bright red fades out to the darker red. That's so good. He's got these huge long arms with the gigantic claws on, which is so monstrous. Then the little green tongue in there you can barely see. The yellow of the eyes. It's a freaky character if you take the time to stare at him until you're freaked out. I have a lot of time on my hands. Now I know I might be a little biased because of the accessories, but look at Pyro here. Boom. Okay, discount the flames, because they're from my Storm Collectibles Axel Stone figure. But just Pyro himself, what Hasbro did, they really nickeled and dimed with the fire effects. But I love the bright colors, the bold sculpting with his huge shoulder pads, the backpack with the funnels, the hoses that go into it. You get two heads, which is always great to have those options. And what I really like is the paint job and the wash they've done on his hair. Such a funny little thing to really stand out. But I so dig it. I love the darker brown wash on the kind of hay straw coloured blonde hair. Throw in the fact that his face actually has a great sculpt. The grinning there, he just looks really maniacal, and like he is someone who loves what he does. Like, you know, he's called Pyro because he's clearly a pyromaniac. He loves just setting things on fire. He's having the time of his life, and he's doing it in this beautiful yellow, red, orange, bright fire flame costume. This guy, again, no one thinks badly of him, but you don't think highly enough. Now another one that people might sleep on is Capwolf, Captain America. Now look, I feel really bad because I'm kind of nickel and diming you myself here on this one, because I could go into my fodder box, I could rummage around for ages and finally dig out the Capwolf head, or I could just put up a picture of it like this. There you go, that's Capwolf. And let's go back to me now. Thank you. How about that? It's like the Ben Reilly Carnage Spider-Man, where you can get these two really alternate versions of the character. I think that's so great. The Capwolf face is bonkers, but he's like Frogman. It's stupid. Again, it's one of the worst examples of 90s, but in a great way. Give us the Captain America armor next. Come on, Hasbro, you know you want to. Not that Iron Avenger, Iron Patriot thing that came out with the Mr. Hyde wave. No, I want the stupid 90s armor on Captain America. But the rest of this figure, with the shoulder straps as well that I pilfered and put on my 80th anniversary Captain America, there's a lot going on here with the Capwolf head as well. A lot of toyetic fun to be had with this guy. What we're gonna do right here is go back, way back to the Age of Apocalypse. You thought I was going to go back in time, but I went back to the Age of Apocalypse with X-Man. Now, the Age of Apocalypse wave was a funny old one because we had a great big bath, but then that kind of meant that they didn't come with any extras or accessories. Nate Gray would have benefited with like some sonic spikes that he could be shooting out, but that notwithstanding, we got a great representation and recreation of his bonkers as sausages costume, which I don't know who was tailoring clothes in the Age of Apocalypse, but they went hard with this. They went to like Jean-Paul Ralphier, or well, who was the name of the guy who did all the costumes for The Fifth Element? It was something like that. It was Jean-Paul Frenchman. But this is the kind of high fashion type design which doesn't make any sense to come up in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, but we're not mad because it's bonkers and fun, and they've captured it great. It's so 90s, you gotta love it. Then what I really dig is the way they've done the sonic effect on the eye, just like his dad Cable has with his figure. That works so well with this. And then the great X-Man, you know it's the 90s because he's got the Backstreet Boys curtains haircut. Instant giveaway. I really love this guy. Now, this is a figure that is generally considered like one of the worst figures, but hear me out. Six-armed Spider-Man. Okay, whoa, I know. There's no ab crunch. There's no swivel in the hips. There's nothing there. But look at all the extra joints you get, and you can do so much with this guy to put him in weird stances. You can put the arms all over the place, like they go right up around his back, so you can make him look so weird and spidery with his poses. You can have a lot of fun with that. With Doppelganger on the same body, I think that really suffers from the lack of articulation. But with this Peter Parker, it kind of works a lot better because he doesn't have to be standing all monstrously. He can just be sort of upright and just have his arms all flailing everywhere, which is what this does so well. And then what they chose to do with the bright blue, the bright sky blue, the lovely bright red on top of that, and then I'm not redoing this. Why start now? They chose not to paint the webs but have the sculpted webbing instead, which, I mean, that can be a very controversial thing, and I don't want that for my Spider-Man characters normally, but for this version, I'll grant it. They've even got like the actual spider symbol on the front is sculpted, so it's raised like a Braille spider symbol. It's like, hello there, Spider-Man. Oh, sorry. But yeah, it's a great little figure that I know it's got big flaws, but it's got a lot of good fun to it as well. And if you can look past the bad stuff, there's a lot of good stuff to enjoy. And I told you there were going to be two Wolverines. We have literally, it's just another Wolverine. Yeah, but he has a new hat. I know, that's all it is, but it's casual Wolverine. And this is kind of essential, because Wolverine, how do you picture him? It's either in his blue and yellow costume, or it's cowboy in a bar Wolverine. Like, how many... Whenever I close my eyes and think of Wolverine, which I do often, I close my eyes and think of Wolverine and I see him popping his bone claws, but with the vest and the hat, that is Wolverine. And I really want some bone claws. I wonder if the bone claws from the 90s Wolverine will fit in here, if you can just pop them in and out. I don't want to risk it, but that could work, because I would love that. But then I'd want some wraps and bandages on his hands as well. I should be a Kit Bash type customizer, but I suck. That's why I make videos instead. You've got to go with your strength sometimes. And also, hey, look, I wasn't always good at making videos. Some would argue I'm still not, but I keep persevering, and that's the only way you improve at stuff. Anyway, Cowboy Wolverine. What was I saying? He's great. He's wearing jeans. Nice belt buckle there as well. I love the little extra detail on the gold on the belt buckle. Makes a big difference. I have a lot of time for this figure with the little smirky look on his face as well. Yeah, he deserves to be on this list. Now one who I definitely feel has been somewhat forgotten, we have Shatterstar. This one, I only picked him up because I decided that I wanted to build X-Force. Good decision on my part too. So I was like, yeah, of course, I've got to get Shatterstar. But he was just a shelf filler, really. He was like, I got to, tick down that box to have the team complete. Then I got him. I was like, whoa, where do you get off being so good? He's got the shoulder pad. I tell you what it is. It's the 90s. Everything, the designers must hate doing 90s characters because it's like, why do they have so many accessories? Hasbro's like, you're making me do more accessories. You know I hate making accessories. Why can't we just repaint Bucky Cap again? Yeah, the salt's still there, but I'm talking about how much I love Marvel Legends, so I think we're even, okay? But yeah, so he's got his big old shoulder pad. He's got his scarf that goes down here. He's got what else has he got? Come on, Dave. Double-bladed swords. There's nothing more 90s than double-bladed swords. If anything, it makes the sword less effective. You're doubling the cutting area, therefore making it harder for it to actually slice through anything. The same kind of goes for Wolverine's claws, to be honest. Like 3 blades next to each other, you'd be better off just having one slashing blade, but that wouldn't look as cool, let's be honest. I'm not like a blade expert, but there was a cool video on YouTube where a guy kind of like broke these things down, and I was like, makes sense, I guess. Now what am I going to do for the other 23 and a half hours of the day? So yeah, also, kind of like I was saying with Pyro. I like what they've done with the hair, where they've given it a nice little wash as well to bring out some depth to it. It's a fun little figure. I feel like maybe his eye is looking a little bit too high up, so you have to kind of like angle him down a little bit. So it does work, I feel. Or am I just imagining it? I feel like his eye looks like it's staring upwards a bit too much, but maybe that's just the angle that I'm at. Either way, that notwithstanding, I still really like this guy. Let's keep it X-Men themed now with Forge. And Forge, again, just kind of a shelf filler to build up X Factor. I don't know why I even bothered, really, since I'm never gonna get multiple man. But what do I like most about Forge? Actually, I think they've captured his facial features really, really well. And like, I don't know sort of how different kind of features look on different sort of races, ethnicities, or what have you, but just in my mind, with my very limited field of experience, this was how I kind of picture Forge. I feel they've kind of really gone to the effort to give him the kind of Native American kind of look that you would probably be trying to capture in this sort of design. I think it's gone really well, because they could have just taken any head and just kind of repainted it and put a moustache on there and been like, yeah, it's Forge, shut up. But they actually worked really hard, I feel, to give us a good version of what Forge should look like. Then you've got his nice little tassels on the boots there that give that some more character and personality. He's got 2 guns with a removable one from the holster there. He's basic, but he's good. Then you got the metallic cybernetic bit on his leg. Yeah, the more I look at him, I'm like, I don't even have to justify this. This guy's awesome. Next up now, we have some real classic Marvel representation. Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman. A kind of basic figure, but with some nice touches that really kind of make her stand out. Why do I feel she's sort of underrated a little bit? Because whenever people talk about the greatest Marvel Legends, they always go to the Thing in that wave, that Walgreens set, and rightly so. He's great, but don't sleep on Sue Storm. The main thing, I love how they've captured her powers with her translucent arms, or semi-translucent. That's the thing. The tips of her fingers are translucent, and then that fades in and out as it goes down her arms. Such beautiful work done to that. It really kind of baffled me that they didn't just use this for the newer version of Sue Storm, but they have their plans and their ways and their means and their things, and it's not for us to understand. Ours is but to do and spend money. And boy, howdy do we ever. But at least when you spent money on this one, you got a good deal. Mostly besides the hands though, the face sculpt is great because she looks like it's a pretty face sculpt. She hasn't got that mannequin look at all. Like, she's got a real kind of focused look in the eyes. And I give all the credit in the world to the people or the machines or the people who program the machines or the machines who program the people that make the eyes. Because eyes only have to be a nanometer off and they look weird, whereas hers are just perfect, and then they complement the rest of the face, the sculpt. She's got like a nice little like bing kind of nose, and then she's got the beautiful hair that's got the nice wash on it as well. They really worked hard to make Sue Storm look decent, and they succeeded. Power of wind, smite my enemies. Why did they do that voice in the cartoon? It was just terrible. Everyone be like, oh no, we're under attack, shall we get Storm to help us? No, let's not. Can we just deal with this ourselves? Did somebody ask for the goddess of weather? No, Storm, we got this. Rising rains, quench my foes. Oh gosh, can't we just... Storm, could you just not, just for a bit? Can you don't hear Wolverine going, slashy claws, stab my enemies, roar! That would have been kind of funny, actually. What are we talking about? Oh yeah, the action figure. The black, such an improvement on the white. And I'm normally a traditionalist, but I dig this so much. For whatever reason, the black and gold just works so well with the blue lightning as well. I think that the yellow lightning, I don't know why, I feel like it looks kind of, dare I say, a bit tacky, but the blue lightning looks gorgeous. Offset with the black and the gold looks great. Throw in, of course, her little flappy bits as well, and then just, again, kind of like Sue Storm, great head sculpt, very goddessy. She looks like a goddess, not a weather witch, alright? A straight up goddess, and as long as she doesn't speak in that animated series type voice, I got a lot of time for her. Let me give you a little surprising one here. Silver Sablinova, Silver Sable. Again, just one that folks don't really talk about very much, but you know what? They should do, because we got 3 ladies in a row here, and they've all got good looking faces. And I was trying to think of like a funny word for faces, but nope, it escaped me. But yeah, Silver Sable, she's got a lot of extra things going with her as well. She had 2 guns, one of which has been replaced because it fell down the back of my radiator, and that's never coming out now. But what she also has is she's got her belt and her buckles, and this body gets reused a lot for Lilandra as well, because you've got the random Lilandra head that they never did anything with, but now you can pop it on there and you've kind of got a Lilandra figure too. But really, it's the focused determination that they've got in that face sculpt really makes her look like a Soviet super spy in the middle of a mission. And that's like really clever. I mean, I always kind of think it takes a lot of effort and skill and talent for a designer to sit down. And I don't know how do you actually sculpt a face, but whoever did this one sat down and went, I'm going to sculpt a Soviet super spy. And he did it. That's what she looks like. It's brilliantly done. And no one really talks about it. And you should. Next time you're down at the pub, say, hey guys, like, enough about this England-Euro thing. Let's talk about Silver Sable. Now then, guys, this is one that it took me a while to kind of warm up to, but we have Back in Black, Deadpool. And this is a funny old one, because first of all, I didn't know where to put him, because he's a modern character, but this appears in a story from the 80s. It's like it's not even a time travel thing, it's just set in the 80s, but it's a regular, common, up-to-date design. So I'm like, I don't know what to do with you. But then I thought, wait a minute, I've got so many accessories and Deadpool's kind of wacky. So Captain Wacky gets a burrito pizza makeover, and for whatever reason, that just works for me. Add to the fact he also has a separate head as well with the symbiote face on it, which looks cool and badass. That really adds up to make a lot of points for him. With the symbiote arms coming out, holding all these great little extras. He's got a burrito, the pizza slices, and then his Sonic kind of purpley pink swords as well. It's a lot of fun to a figure that was just kind of a forgotten GameStop exclusive, where it's like, this is a GameStop exclusive. Oh, that's nice. But really, when you get him, as long as you don't knock all of his accessories out, which I'm often prone to do, a lot of fun can be had with this guy. Now we've got someone who, again, it seems like they put way more effort in than you would kind of expect them to have to, and that is the Reaver, or the Skullbuster. Skullbuster, Reaver, Skullbuster, whatever you want to call them. There's so much going on here, and there's so much you can do with them as well. Like, customizers must love the jacket that comes with these guys and all the different parts, but the fact that these are kind of cybernetic, mishmash Frankenstein type characters, they've thrown all these extra little bits on, like the Mad Max style armor, and he's got straps and belts and spikes. And again, I love the fact that when they throw in an extra head that can make a completely different character. That's great. Hasbro, feel free, I'll buy another one, it's fine, I have no shame. Of course, I've got Skullbuster as well, so you can have them both together, and then you can decorate them because of the style of the characters. You can throw on gun belts and other things. I think, did he actually come with a gun belt? I can't remember, because Skullbuster has a gun belt, but I might have taken that from someone else. But the fact that you've got the normal belt that goes around his waist, and everything else, and the cybernetic arm and the cybernetic legs and the special claws, there's a lot here to enjoy. Just a figure where it's such a nothing character. I mean, I'm sorry, Reavers fans, but you know, he's not like an A-lister. But they put in effort that you would expect for them to do with one of their more high-tier characters. Our penultimate figure on the list now is Sunfire. Classic Sunfire. First appearance Sunfire. Is it first appearance Sunfire? He's certainly giant-sized X-Men Sunfire. And come on, look at the mask. It's mainly the mask that does it. The body is very much a basic repaint, but still, the rising sun design just always looks cool. I always thought that was just a striking design, the red and the white. It just looks beautiful. It looks beautiful on the flag, and it looks beautiful as part of his costume. I think just works really great. But ultimately, it is the lucha, not lucha, but they wear Mexican-style masks in Japanese wrestling sometimes as well. But it's that kind of wrestling style mask, which I think looks great. But also, it's not just wrestling style, it's kind of a kabuki style as well, which I'm sure is far more what they were actually going for. Not Mexican wrestling, but Japanese kabuki. That would make more sense for the Japanese character. But yeah, this Sunfire is just lovely. Talking about popping off the shelf with his flame effects on his hands as well, which, yeah, they've been overused to death now, but they still look great on him. Actually, did he come with these? Or did I pilfer them from someone else? I think he came with these. And you got the nice gold paint on his arms as well, the gold accents on the mask. Really, really great character. And finally, we come to the end of this long and winding countdown. I think maybe with a bonus figure, because I'm pretty sure I overcounted here, but who cares? You're going to get some more bang for your buck. We have Spider-Woman, Julia Carpenter, or Jessica True. You know, if long-term viewers of the show will know that I can never get that right. Julia Carpenter is what we're going to go for. What a nice little figure. Doesn't do anything crazy, but what they do looks great. I think it's because I'm just a sucker for the black costume Spider-Man look. And of course, she was the one who did it first, so she has carte blanche to keep using it. And I think it's just a really nice little figure. I can't justify it all that much, but I feel people sleep on it. And maybe they're right to, because I just realized in the same wave is Scorpion. And maybe I should have used Scorpion, actually. He's more of a hidden gem. But then again, is he? Because a lot of people don't like the green on the face. That might be why Scorpion doesn't get too much press time. But this is a figure that no one can say, I hate this thing about her. Because what could you hate about her? You know, she just recreates the look of the character. And you know what? It's a cool look. Her face is a little bit neutral. I'll give you that. It's not the most dynamic face. But because she's wearing a mask and she's got her eyes covered, it's not a mannequin face either. It's just fine. You know, she looks like she's casually web swinging as opposed to web swinging into action. But speaking of web swinging, I do love the spooty web hand that comes out there. Silk has it as well. I think it works really well for these ladies. Then it's just a very elegant kind of female body design. I think it just works great, and I'm going to stop waxing lyrical, because if you don't know, now you know. And folks, that is the end of my top 50 underrated Marvel Legends hidden gems. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed going through these. I tried to slow this second video down a bit because I was rewatching the first one, and I was like, oh my god, Dave, no wonder you're sweating so much. You barely pause for breath. So I tried to control this one a bit more. I hope you enjoyed it, guys. I certainly did. I had a blast doing this. If you enjoyed this, then go over to patreon.com. Oh, yeah. Come back. Don't you click off. We're not done yet. I will tell you when we are done. Not until I've sung for my supper. All right? Because someone's going to have to buy that Elvis Modoc. And if I'm going to do it, I'm damn sure not going to do it with my money. Do you get me? Don't walk away from me. Don't click that off button. We're not finished. Now, what you're going to do, you're going to leave this window open. So you're going to watch the adverts at the end of this video too. But what you're going to do is you're going to open another tab. You're going to go to Displaying Model Behavior's Patreon page, all right? It's patreon.com/displaying model behavior. Now, there's some different tiers on there, all right? But what you need to do is sign up to the most expensive one, okay? All right, so make sure that you basically pour in as much money as possible so that then I can get it and it all goes to me. All right, that's the deal. But I'm not just, giving this away, or, I'm not just begging you for money. That would be the worst. I wouldn't do that. I want to give you something. I'm going to give you a little extra something. All the videos that aren't really good enough to go on YouTube, they're there for you on Patreon. Oh, yeah. There's like 10-ish videos that are not as good as this one. But you can go see them. All you got to do is go to patreon.com/displaying model behavior and give me money that you've earned with your hard work. And then you can watch videos that aren't as good as this one. I suppose you could always just go back and watch the rest of my back catalogue on YouTube, which is arguably better, but then I wouldn't get any money, so you can see why that's a problem. But if you do go over to patreon.com/displaying model behavior and sign up, then you can join the likes of these absolute mother effing, yeah, I said it, mother effing legends. And I'm sorry that there's some effing and jeffing, but these guys deserve it. Because quite frankly, they rock the house, they rock the his A, and quite frankly, yeah, that's two quite franklys, not redundant. These guys are absolute Marvel legends. Boom! Alright, we're back in the room. Folks, I'm sorry that I went a little crazy with that. I just started riffing, and sometimes when you get on board the riff train, you just gotta ride it to the next station. So thanks very much for watching. Like, share, subscribe, do all that stuff. Go join the Discord as well. Link in the description below. And until next time, keep displaying model behavior.
Cheers.